Okay, you're hearing a lot of talk about the COVID-19 vaccines these days. So how do you find out if getting vaccinated is right for you? By talking to someone you already trust, your doctor or healthcare provider. They'll answer your questions so you can decide what's best for you and your family. Go to getvaccineanswers.org to find out more. That's getvaccineanswers.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Colin Cowherd at noon on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
When I think analytics, I mostly think baseball because they were the first to go into it. And I think John Harbaugh looks across the field and sees Aaron Rodgers, and I don't want to go to overtime. In the NFL, I got Mahomes over there. I got Aaron Rodgers over there. I don't want another 30 plays in this game. I want the game to come down to one play. I'm going to go for it.
Colin Cowherd at noon. Download the 1380 app. Listen from your smart speaker or log on to 1380thefan.com. Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios. This is WKJG 1380 AM 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fan. This is an exclusive presentation of high school sports on Fort Wayne Sports Station 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. This is the High School Coaches Show. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to the High School Coaches Show. It's been a bit of a hiatus, but we're back here on Festivus, December 23rd, to talk some area high school basketball. We'll get you caught up on everything that's happened through the first month and a half of high school basketball here in the area over the next 60 minutes or so. We're going to talk to Snider head coach Jeremy Rauch at about 6:15, 6:20, and we'll break down his team. They've only played a handful of games, the Snider Panthers, but a lot has happened over those couple games. So we'll talk to Coach Rauch about that later in the hour. Rod Parker, head basketball coach on the girls' side for the Homestead Spartans. We'll check in with where the Spartans are right now at this point in the year. So all that and more coming up. We're going to kick it off, as we do each and every week here on the High School Coaches Show, with my friend Brice Vance of KPC Media Group. Brice, how are you?
I'm doing good, Justin. How are you?
Good, and you're getting over the Rona, is what you told me, correct?
Yes. Yes, I am. I've been at home for what feels like an entire year, but it's only been about 6 or 7 days.
You didn't give it to the rest of the family, did you?
I think we've all had our bouts with it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Very nice. Well, I'm glad to hear you're on the mend, and hopefully you feel better for the Christmas holiday. But let's get caught up on some basketball, and I think we can start in the NECC on the boys' side because, by gosh, we have a couple really good basketball programs. I know so many people know about Central Noble, but what about the 8-0 Eastside Blazers, who are at their old gym on the old campus of Butler High School tonight to take on Heritage? The Blazers, under Ed Bentley, 8-0.
Yeah, they are 8-0, and they've been pretty much beating up on teams here in their first 8 games. Average margin of victory of about 20 points. Now, I think we don't know exactly who this team is yet because they haven't really been tested by some better competition. You probably look at their best opponent to this point is probably a DeKalb team that's probably going to finish, somewhere in the middle of the Northeast 8. They have some talent, but I don't know if how they're going to compete with the likes of the Leos and the other teams in the top of the Northeast State Conference. But the Blazers have shown that they can be very good this season, and I think once they get into the new year, when they take on teams like West Noble, Central Noble, Fremont, and even Westview, that's when we find out how good this team really is because they've played really well. They brought back most of the team from last year that was really talented, like Gabe Trevino, Owen Willard, and Hugh Henderson, guys like that, Logan Fry. They're a very talented team, and then they brought in a very good coach who's going to be hard-nosed, going to be hard on his players, but is going to get them to play very hard on the court and be very hard to beat, and they've definitely proved that early on.
Yeah, Ed Bentley's come in and led that team, and it's pretty cool because they'll put videos up after each win in the locker room. It's pretty cool with every win. But as you mentioned, it gets more difficult for the Blazers. They get Heritage tonight, but then as you mentioned, at West Noble, at Fairfield, and then Fairfield again to kick off the NECC tournament on January 11th, and then 10 days after that, they get Central Noble, that big showdown with them. So a little on the Cougars, and you mentioned teams that maybe haven't been challenged that much. Central Noble took care of Bar Reeve, who at that point was the number one team in Class 1A, but I think look at Bar Reeve, and they lost a lot from a year ago, and then the win at Bremen is impressive from a couple days ago. That was a Bremen team in 2A about to crack the top 10. But when you look at the rest of the season, where do the challenges come for the Central Noble Cougars?
Yeah, I was hoping that Bar Reeve would put up a little bit more of a challenge. I was down at that game at Southport, and Central Noble really just handled their business and really held down Bar Reeve with a terrific defensive performance. And then Connor Asijian and Logan Gard both scored 20 or more points. The challenge is going to be coming, like with a team like Westview, who they play on New Year's Eve at home here in about a week or so. And then they face teams like Eastside and then Fort Wayne, Southside, and Fremont at the very end. I mean, those are probably their four most difficult games outside of the NECC tournament, which they'll probably face, a Westview team or Eastside along the way. I think they're on the top side of the bracket. For that one, they could face a West Noble team that I had high hopes on for West Noble going into this season, and they've kind of struggled here recently. They just got beat by Prairie Heights, who's going to be a sneaky team, I think, this year, and it's going to upset a couple of teams like they already have. They have some guys, some good talented guys like Chase Batchelor and Isaiah Malone. But for Central Noble, they don't have a lot of talent or talented teams that they're going to be facing. So for the challenge for them is making sure that they keep it up every single night that they play, because they want to avoid a slip up. I'm sure that they want to try to go undefeated. They want to try to go into the postseason undefeated and make it as far as they can in the postseason tournament, because they're going to get every team's best shot, and we've seen that in the last 3 games, in the last 4 games since that Bar Reeve game. You had a 5-point win over West Noble. You had a 4-point win over Woodland. They handled their business against Bremen. They were able to pull away in the third quarter of that one. And then last night they escaped with a 6-point victory over Wawasee. But the challenge for Central Noble is making sure that they're up and full of energy and ready to go from the get-go every single night they take the court.
Brice, flipping over to the Northeast 8 on the boys' side, you have Leo, you have Columbia City, you have Norwell, all there towards the top of the Northeast 8. You throw in a New Haven team that is up and down, but admittedly their schedule, at least to start off, was difficult with the likes of Blackhawk and a Northrop team that's really good. But what do we make out of the Northeast 8 through the first month? We felt like it goes through Leo. But could a young Norwell team be some competition, and could an upstart Columbia City team be there as well?
I think either one of those two teams can give Leo a run for their money. Columbia City, they have the capability of shooting lights out. I think we saw that against East Noble when they put up 86 points. Andrew Hendricks is the real deal in my eyes. He can, he's a walking bucket. He's, one of these kids that can put up 35 to 40 points on you on a hot night, and on a normal night he's going to give you around 20 to 25 points. He's legit, and I talked to Coach Schaus coming in to the season, and he was pretty high on Hendricks and the rest of the team. They brought back a lot of the guys from last year's team that was kind of in the middle of the pack. They would have their moments. But with now in the second year under Coach Schaus, I really feel like they have a team that can compete along the likes of Norwell and Leo in the Northeast 8, and I definitely think that they can give Leo a run for their money, even though that's their last conference game. So we'll see if the conference does come down to that game on February 11th.
He is Brice Vance, KPC Media Group, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. Brice, let's look over on the girls' side. Let's look at the NECC. Garrett is that team at 11-1, but could Fairfield be a team that challenges the Railroaders? And we don't have to wait very long until those teams face off.
No, we don't. It's coming up right after the New Year on January 4th at Garrett. This should be a really good game. I think the matchup to probably watch is Morgan Ostrowski versus Bria Garber, who just committed to the University of Indianapolis. And both of these teams have what you want in a team. They have a really good starting five. They have a couple girls that can come off the bench and provide a lift for a few minutes. And they're just really well coached. Brody Garber coaching the Falcons and Bob Lapidotte coaching the Garrett girls. These teams, I think, are head and shoulders above the rest of the NECC. And I'm not sure if the tournament draw in a couple of weeks, but I think they're on the opposite side of the bracket, maybe actually on the same side. So it could come down to either of those two teams winning the NECC tournament. But those two teams have definitely proven that they're head and shoulders above everybody else with their ability to defend teams. I saw Fairfield shut down Lakeland a few weeks ago, and they were able to put on a really good shooting display from behind Bailey Willard. She's a very good shooter. Brooke Sanchez can handle the ball and create some offense as well. So Fairfield has a lot of options to go to that I think would be able to match up well with the likes of Garrett.
When you look at that next tier in the NECC, I think you look at Coach Treesh with Central Noble, and that's a solid team. East side, again, on the girls' side as well, with Coach Mike Lordy has done a very good job. So with Central Noble and East side, can either of those, maybe not in the conference, but at least make some noise in the postseason?
I think so. I think they're in opposite sectionals in Class 2A. But I think both of those two teams, I think Central Noble, actually, no, they're actually in the same sectional. That's my mistake. They're in the Bluffton sectional. So I think either of those two teams could be at the top, the two favorites in that sectional, right up there with South Adams. But those two teams in that sectional, I would probably pick either one of those to compete for it. With what East Side has been able to do this season, they got off to a little bit of a slow start. They had a three-game losing streak, including a loss to Garrett, where they only scored 21 points. But since then, they've rattled off 5 straight. Maybe not the best competition, but they did just beat Lakeland, who's probably in that next tier in the NECC. But then they do have to face Fairfield a couple of times, including to kick off the NECC tournament, and the rest of their schedule in conference play includes the likes of Central Noble. So we could see a sectional preview once we get to January, when the Cougars and Blazers face off January 21st. But I like what Central Noble has done as well. Maddie Gray and Megan Keeble are two girls that can score for that team. But they just need to find a consistent third scorer, or a girl that can just come up and maybe rotate it, because they've had Courtney Gray, who's been able to step up, the younger sister of Bridget and Ashley Gray. And then they've also had Abby Heil, who's able to score as well. But it's been the consistency of Maddie Weiss and Megan Keeble. And those two girls are going to have to lead Central Noble if they want to do anything in the postseason.
Brice, when we look at the NE8 on the girls' side, it's been dominated in recent years by the Norwell Knights. Belmont was in the conversation there for a year. But this year it's been Columbia City, and the Eagles took on Norwell a couple weeks ago at home, dominated the Knights in a 21-point victory. Columbia City sitting 14-0. They will not play until January 4th at Cherubusco. Are you kind of surprised at how Columbia City has been able to dominate this league? I think we expected them to be good, but to really being able to distance themselves from the rest of the conference at this point, to me, is a bit surprising.
Yeah, it was. If you would have told me at this point they would be 14-0 before the season, I would be surprised. But I watched them in their second game of the season at West Noble, and they just absolutely destroyed West Noble by nearly 50 points. And that's a West Noble team that's really down this year, and then not where they have been in the past. But they just showed that they can play really hard-nosed defense. They can create a lot of turnovers. They have a lot of speed. They can get the ball up and down the floor really quickly. And Amy Shearer has done a great job of getting this group that's still relatively young. They have a lot of these girls are sophomores and juniors. So they're not only going to be good this year, but they're going to be good for the next couple of years. And I am a little bit surprised that at this point they're still unbeaten, and they've taken down some pretty good teams along the way. They have a good win over Warsaw, a good win, over of a team like Snider, who's taken on some big teams from down around the Indianapolis area. So maybe come by the time we get to the postseason, but they're still definitely a team that should be, put on notice because they're in that same sectional as Homestead, and I think they could give Homestead a challenge. I'm not saying they're going to beat them at this moment, but they have a good a shot as anybody in that sectional to upset them.
All right, Brice, before we let you go, Christmas plans, what's it look like for Mr. Vance? Are you able to go out into the public again yet?
Not yet. I saw a few more days in my quarantine, but still feeling healthy. Haven't really had any symptoms or anything like that, and nothing too serious. But it's just going to be a nice, relaxed, low-key Christmas at home, and just going to spend it with the newborn and the wife.
Awesome. All right, buddy. Appreciate you joining us. Have a great holiday. We'll talk to you in 2022.
All right. Sounds good, Justin.
See you, buddy. That was Brice Vance, KPC Media Group, joining us as he does here each and every edition of the High School Coaches Show as we talk the area landscape, first in football in the fall and now as we've transitioned to basketball here in the winter. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk to Jeremy Rauch, head basketball coach of the Snider Panthers, talk some SAC boys hoops and more when we come back. You are listening to the High School Coaches Show, 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
And that's when I realized it's called a hamburger, not a handburger, because you carry it with your hand. I was wrong, people. It's like that time I thought I couldn't make the perfect app for football. I was wrong again, people. All I had to do was make a sportsbook app where you can earn season rewards all Sunday long. Nobody's better at bettering things than Caesars.
Must be 21. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section and after Dad's back injury. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Trouble with opioids can start at home with unused medicines such as pills, patches, and syrups. You can remove the risk and protect your family. Find out how at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
First Responders Children's Foundation takes care of the children and families the brave ones leave at home. Help us help them. These are the beautiful voices of police officers, firefighters, nurses, and teenagers who remind us that we can come together and create harmony and unity. BRAVE to 24365 to learn how you can help your first responder community today.
Don't even try and stop this train. Head coach Matt Painter leads the Boilermakers onto the court for another charge up the Big Ten standings. No matter where they go, we'll be right there with them for every bend and turn. Your home for Boilermaker basketball. This is the Boilermakers Sports Network from Learfield
on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan at 100.9 FM.
Hey, sis. Missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats. Okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Check in on one another and be a part of a healthy blood pressure movement. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
Our connections make powerful things happen. uniting individuals and communities. We are Rotary. We are people of action. And together, we turn great ideas into reality by accessing our networks, our experience, and the best of ourselves to make a difference. Around the world, Rotary brings leaders together to build new friendships and to solve problems. Like in Austria, where generations work side by side to build sustainable housing and community centers. In India, volunteers run a mobile blood bank to help provide a steady blood supply for their local community. And in Taiwan, people are working hard to get vulnerable citizens the support and services they need. With over 1 million members, we know what people can do when they come together. Take action with us. Find out more at Rotary.org/action.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the Sports Rush Festivus Day edition here till 7 o'clock, talking area high school basketball. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll join Pacers Rockets NBA action in progress. Following that, we will hand it over Thursday night football to be the 49ers and Titans. So plenty of sports coming up here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM this evening. But for at least the rest of this hour, we're talking area high school football. Let's talk some SAC basketball with my friend Jeremy Rauch. Coach, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Not bad, and I know hopefully you're recharged. I saw you and the wife were able to do a quick getaway in Florida, and it looked very, very enjoyable.
Well, we've got a great staff. We've got good kids, so we felt good about getting away for a couple days. The players did some skill stuff, and we didn't have, obviously, the holiday tournament, so we had a big gap between games. And for the first time in my 16 years of coaching, I snuck out and went somewhere tropical when it was cold here, and it was nice, man. It was a nice little getaway.
You mentioned the SAC holiday tournament. You're among friends here. Do you miss it?
Oh, 100%.
Really?
100%. We love the atmosphere. Everyone comes back. Everyone kind of just posts up there for the day, and you do see a lot of the same teams, and you do run into the risk of playing teams, 3 times, if it's a sectional opponent. But it brings its own element of intrigue and intensity, and it's kind of one of those pressure cooker things where right away early in the season you get to see kind of where you stack up against the area's best teams. It's great, and the kids love it. And so I don't know if something that would ever come back, but while I was a part of it, I really enjoyed it.
Would there be a better chance, you think, maybe some sort of Northeast Indiana tournament where you bring in some other teams outside of the SAC potentially?
Yeah, I don't think holiday tournaments aren't going away. So I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, and it is a good time to play teams you wouldn't normally see or get some travel that you wouldn't normally get to do in terms of tournaments all over the state. So, I think that'd be a possibility for sure.
You guys have been able to get into a tournament, the Huntington North tournament, just after Christmas. Break us down in terms of that format, because I think you'll play one game per day, and then it'll probably lead into some others.
So it's a 2-day deal. We play pool play on the 29th. In our pool, we play Huntington North at 10, and then we play Lake Central at 2, and then they play each other in the evening. And then in the other side is Fishers, Maryville, and New Haven. And then you just go cross-pool on the next day. So the winner of our pool would play the winner of the other pool for the championship, and then there'd be a third-place game and a fifth-place game.
Gotcha. So when we look at where we're at in the SAC in particular, everybody's played 1 or 2 conference games. Northside's played 9 games overall. Concordia's played 8. Homestead's played 10. And then there's Snider that's played 3 games. And I know some of it was, due to COVID issues and all that, but also the schedule is pretty backloaded for you guys. So sitting at 2-1, I feel like some teams maybe have a good idea what they are. But does Jeremy Rauch have an idea of what his team is yet through 3 games?
Not really.
I didn't think so.
We've got an idea of how good we can be, and we displayed that in 2 games. And then we've got an idea of what our floor could be as well. And credit Northside with the way they came in really attacked us right from the start. But I think we've seen the extremes, and I think that we can be really, really good when we guard and get out in transition. But no, we haven't really had a close game yet. So that's we'll see when it comes down to value in the basketball and possession-oriented type games. And I think that's what this tournament's going to be good for us next week.
Yeah, I found that 24-hour period last weekend fascinating with you guys losing by 21 to Northside and then just destroying a good Maryville team by 38 the day after. So, in terms of that Northside game, you don't want to find excuses, but the fact that you're playing the first time in 18 days, I mean, did that factor in any?
I think so. I think that factored into not getting off to a good start. And once we didn't get off to a good start, we didn't respond well from that. We didn't kind of dig in and trust what we were going to do and trust kind of the game plan and trust our offensive system. We kind of went awry. And we understood that. That's what when you have a senior-laden team and you have guys that have kind of been through it, the neatest thing was being able to respond the very next day and play really well against a Maryville team that we're not 38 points better than. I mean, we came out and really played well on the defensive end and shared the basketball. And obviously, with a dynamic score like Aiden and Carson as well, anything can happen, and it kind of got away from them.
I feel like in the first back-to-back for you guys this year, to see the way your team responded on Saturday had to just absolutely thrill you.
100%. And we left Northside after, we kind of figured some things out. We left Northside already kind of knowing that we were in a better place. And you almost, not to say that we needed that, but in a way we did. We did need to understand that, what we do together is going to take us further than what we try to do maybe on our own. And the nice thing is we had that immediate feedback and opportunity to kind of turn it around, whatever it was, 14 hours later, and we really did that.
Coach, a lot of the hype heading into this season was around Carson Jenkins, and he's been great for you. But Aiden Lambert, a 40-point game, a 51-point game against Maryville. Take me through this kid's progress because he's really opening some eyes early on.
Yeah, so you talk about a kid who came in, played JV as a freshman, was eighth man on a sectional team as a sophomore, came out and had 2 straight 30-point games as a junior as well, and now he's really blowing up, and he has that ability. He's got a natural athleticism about him. He finishes well, but in transition, he's about as good as anybody I think I've coached, and the guys really respond to passing the ball ahead, looking for him or throwing it up to him now and letting him go get it. And like I said, I mean, he can finish with the best of them. But it's neat to see his progression on the defensive end, sprinting the floor, and that really allows his skill set to shine.
And I feel like he's a kid that's a great example of biding your time and staying focused and staying committed, and eventually your time comes, and that's really blossomed him the last couple seasons.
100%. And that's a tribute to the character that he has. It's a tribute to the family that he has around him, and just kind of trusting the process and knowing that what you're doing is the right thing, and keep doing it, and your time will come. And it really has, and he's making the most of the opportunity, and we're certain it's going to translate to for kind of post-secondary success, hopefully an opportunity, scholarship opportunity at the next level. But, a lot of those things are out of our control, and what he's doing now is the best thing you can do is go out and play hard and be aggressive. And when he's aggressive and assertive, it takes our team to another level.
He's Coach Jeremy Rauch, Snider Panthers, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show. And I have to feel the greatest beneficiary from Aiden Lambert's success is Carson Jenkins, because he doesn't have to do it all. And he's a guy that I feel is accustomed, or, is perfectly fine with having complementary players. And for the offense to run through Carson, but to know that he has other options, that has to be great for him.
Well, I mean, that's tremendous maturity out of him as well, because he's a dynamic scorer as well. He can go off for 40 or 50 at any point, and when the things are going well for him too. But to see him look for Aiden and to see him run the floor game that he does and take care of the basketball, and he's just making right reads right now, and he understands. He's kind of playing ahead of the play, and he's reading secondary defenders, and obviously Aiden's benefiting from that, and a lot of guys are getting quality shots. But the ball's still in Carson's hands a lot, and he's doing a great job with it.
We started the show off with Brice Vance. We were talking about the NECC and the NE8. We seem to have a high. We feel like Homestead's up there, but by no means do they look unbeatable in the SAC. And then after that, it's question after question. I mean, you look at you guys, and okay, you guys lose to Northside, but Northside loses to South. South comes out and beats Northrop. I mean, at this point, I don't know what to think about this league.
No, I mean, anything can happen on any night, and that's a good sign for them. We didn't want to come out and lose our first conference game, but if anything, it's an eye opener that it's a dogfight. And then if any one team beats Homestead, then it's really up in the air whether it's us or somebody else. So we got to take care of our own business and make sure that we're always the aggressors. But it is. I mean, it's right now it could kind of turn out a million different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, you look at this tournament you have at Huntington North coming up, between now and the new year, and it may just be a blip on the radar for some, but you start the new year with New Haven, Northrop, Homestead, Leo. You throw Concordia in there, and then you can keep going. You got to go and play Marty at DeKalb, and then Carroll and Carmel. So how important is this tournament, at least in terms of playing a lot of games in a short amount of time and really figuring some things out that maybe you still have questions about?
Yeah, no question. We're 3 games in, and then we're going to double that number in 2 days. So, and Huntington North does a really good job, and they play really patient basketball. We're averaging 77 points a game, and they're averaging giving up 42 points a game. So it's going to be a matter of tempo, and so we haven't really seen that yet. And then with Lake Central, they're a very system-based team and a lot of Princeton concepts, and so we've never seen that before. So our ability to defend off the ball and have vision and have some toughness in the half court is going to be tested, both of those. And who knows who we play, the next day. And then we actually have Wayne in that week, too. So we go New Haven, Wayne, Northrop in the same week. So, it's going to be wild in the next week, and kind of this will be our last chance to really sit back after these two tournament days and see where we're at and some big rocks moving forward into heavy January.
Yeah, that first week of January, since you mentioned the reschedule with Wayne, so you'll have New Haven, Wayne, and Northrop 3 games over the course of 4 days?
Yep, exactly. Yep, 2 conference games.
Yeah, 2 conference games. So, yep. Last question for you, Coach. Christmas shopping, are you done?
Man, it's about time to get started. We did a little bit in Miami, and of course the wife's taking care of a lot of it. But yeah, I better get out in the morning and let's start and finish all in one trip.
As I say, go by the wife. The wife says we're done, so that means I'm done.
Exactly.
So. All right, buddy. Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot for joining us. Have a great holiday. Give the family my best. All right, my man.
All right, brother. Take care.
See ya. That was Coach Jeremy Rauch, Snider Panthers, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, talking some area high school basketball. Once again, his Snider Panthers 2-1, just 3 games into the season. And as I mentioned, they're behind the 8 ball, very much so in terms of games played. Just in the SAC, with Snider with 3 games played, you have teams like Concordia that's played 8, Northrop 7, Northside 9, Homestead 10. And then you have the Snider Panthers sitting there with just 3 games played, sitting 0-1 in the SAC after that surprising loss to Northside, 81-60 last Friday. It was the first game in 18 days for the Panthers, and then they came out not even 24 hours later, more like 15 hours later, and absolutely destroyed Maryville by 38 points. So who do we have with the Snider Panthers? Really not sure yet. They'll have a chance to find some consistency in that tournament at Huntington North next week before they begin a very busy January. We're going to take a break. We'll talk some girls high school basketball with Homestead head coach Rod Parker. We'll check in on the Spartans, see where they're at as they enter the new year. You are listening to the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Graham here from Westwood One with a Thursday night football preview and a game with big playoff ramifications. The 49ers at the Titans. In the AFC race, Tennessee has fallen back with losses in 3 of their last 4 games, but at 9-5, they're still just a game back in the top seed hunt. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill said after Sunday's loss to the Steelers that their offense needs to refocus.
Anytime you walk away with a loss, it's a sick feeling and it has to get cleaned up. Obviously, had opportunities converting, but when you turn the ball over, you put yourself in a bad situation.
Jimmy Garoppolo and San Francisco have entered the NFC playoff picture by winning back-to-back games. At 8-6, another win would solidify them as a postseason favorite. Ian Eagle and Tony Baselli will have all the action on Thursday Night Football.
Remember to listen to Westwood One's coverage of the NFL all season long. Right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne Sports Station.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started. Plus, 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
With Early Paycheck, you can get your direct deposit up to 2 days earlier. That's another reason banking with Capital One is the easiest decision ever. Even easier than deciding to open the biggest birthday gift first.
Happy birthday to you.
Which one are you going to open first?
The pony.
Yep, even easier than that. Plus, with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is banking with Capital One even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. No fees or minimums on new consumer accounts. Capital One and member FDIC.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
This is Brad Keselowski, driver number 2, Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Ever wonder what gives me a winning edge? A quick pit stop to check your tires can go a long way, whether you're driving on the track or just on the road. Properly maintained tires handle better in all weather conditions and provide you with the safe stopping power. Do a safety check on your tread depth at home or go online and book a tire inspection appointment.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
Here's more from the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan at 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the High School Coaches Show. I'm Justin Kenny, Festivus Day edition here, taking you into Christmas Eve tomorrow. Hopefully you started your shopping by now, but thanks to Coach Jeremy Rauch. Before the break, talking some Snider boys basketball. We're now going to pivot over to the girls' side of things and talk some Homestead basketball with Spartans head coach Rod Parker joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well tonight. How about yourself?
We are doing great here, Coach, and congratulations. A couple big wins over Fishers and Hamilton Southeastern a couple days ago. Come from behind victory against HSE late. So take us through the final few minutes of that one and how you guys were able to pull it out.
Well, I was very proud of our kids in the Hamilton Southeastern game. Obviously, when you play 2 games in one day, especially high caliber, it takes a little bit of a mental toll on you. But it was a game of runs, and we were down, I think, 5 with about 2 minutes to go. And our kids came up with some big defensive stops, which was the key for us, to get the ball back in our hands and be able to make a couple plays in offensively. And the thing that I was probably really proud of is we finished, 8 of 8 from the line there in the last minute, which was something that plagued us a year ago. And so to get back into a close game this year and finish it off, I think was a positive thing for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the centerpiece being Ayanna Patterson and her future college coach, Ariema in the building as well. So, did you have a chance to talk to him, and what kind of was the message from him as Ayanna continues to develop?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to talk to him for quite a while after the game, the morning game. And that's obviously a treat and everything to be able to talk to somebody of this nature. But, his message to Ayanna the whole time has been, working hard, getting better, but he emphasizes being a great teammate to her. And that's something that she's just done a phenomenal job for us this year, the leadership. And, the kid just loves to win, loves to play the game. It's contagious. And it's allowed us to get off to a great start this year.
Are you able to use Ayanna now as she's grown and matured in a different way than maybe you did when she first came on the high school scene?
Most definitely. And I think, on all facets of the game, Ayanna has improved, from the skill sets to the maturity level to the strength to the understanding to the ability to take her skill set not only to put up crazy numbers. I think right now she's around 25.5 points and 13 rebounds a game, but she now understands how to make other people better. And she's an unselfish player, and she, as I said, wants to win, gets excited for the success of other individuals on our team, for their contributions to help us be successful. So she really has, I guess the way to say it, has arrived, if that makes sense. But definitely a great progression over the 4 years for Ayanna, and she's just playing great basketball right now.
And I think for you guys, the fact sitting at 12-1 and Ayanna's going to get a lot of the pub, but the supporting cast has been tremendous. When you look at Allie Stevens stepping up and Maggie and Molly, I mean, these were girls that needed to step up and fill greater roles than they had before. And, so far so good for you guys.
Yeah, and, I'm really proud of those kids, and I talk to them about this quite often. They're very good basketball players. And they are playing a little bit in the shadow of Ayanna and the success that she's bringing individually and all the tools that she has and skills. But they're playing very good basketball. And that's what's allowing us to be successful right now at the level that we are, because they're playing their roles well. They're good basketball players. They kind of fly under the radar a little bit by being at Homestead with, Ayanna playing right now. But great basketball players. And I'll give a special hats off to Molly, because she's running the point for us this year, and she's done a very solid job. And I think when you look at the scheme of basketball around here, a lot of people aren't going to talk about Molly as being, one of the top point guards just by being at Homestead and overshadowed. But I'm going to tell you right now, she's playing as well as any of the point guards in the area. So I'm very proud of her. She's working hard and doing what she needs to do to make us a good basketball team.
Yeah, and you mentioned Molly, and I've gotten to know her when she's over at OPS, and I looked at her and it's like, man, she's so quiet and she's just standoffish, and I couldn't look at her and say she's going to be able to command an offense, at least with how she was, but she's been able to grow, and I'm sure you saw it, but it was one of those things where I said, Molly, I don't know if you got it in you to be a point, but man, she's slotted in there and really grown.
Well, Molly would tell you, her freshman year and sophomore year, I was on her quite a bit. I knew she was a lot because, I knew where her potential was at and where she needed to go to be the type of player we needed her to be. And she's really made leaps and bounds to do that. I know she's putting in a lot of hard work. So, there's a kid that is having a great year for us. And the beautiful thing about it is, along with Allie and Emma, they're underclassmen. So they still have more basketball to play the next couple of years.
Coach, you get a bit of a break here, and I asked Jeremy Rauch this, and, you're among friends here. Do you miss the SAC Holiday Tournament?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I just, there was so much tradition in that. It was, a great community support. It was something that I was involved in as a player back in the 80s. I followed it for years. I was envious of it when I was in the NHC, and we didn't have a similar tournament. So when we joined the SAC, I think it was a highlight of the winter break a little bit, for me specifically and our team. So, I was disappointed to lose it. Obviously, we were able to pick up 2 good games on Tuesday, but it just had a different feel than what the SAC tournament has had in the past. So, I was disappointed to see it go. It ironically created a big break for me right now in my schedule, which is very unusual, to have 2 weeks off. In fact, my wife and I have talked, we should have went to Florida.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming the way that it did. But yeah, so, it's different, very much so. But I missed the SEC tournament, but it's something that we'll move forward. We got good games out of it this past week, and we'll find ways to fill the void next year as well.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned that break, and how do you balance giving the girls some time off with, still being prepared for, you guys go right at it at North Central on the 4th of January, get Southside. It's a busy January for you. So how do you balance that break with also being ready for January?
Yeah, it worked out well. We've had years in the past where I've only given them Christmas Day and New Year's Day off. So the fact that we had that big break, I'm giving a week off. We played Tuesday, and they're off until this coming Tuesday. But I think it's going to be good. It's going to give the kids a chance to rest up a little bit at this point in the season. And they'll rest a little bit, and it gives us a nice week to get ready for North Central on that Tuesday. And it is a big week. Then we have Southside and Lawrence North on Saturday. So, they're in shape right now. I think the rest will be good. Physically and mentally, and it gives us a week when we get back to get ready to go again.
Coach, you're sitting at 12-1 right now, but what do you want to see out of this team over the next 4 or 5 weeks, 9 or 10 final games of the regular season to feel we're in a great position for the postseason?
Well, all year long we always address that every day we got to make an effort to get better, in some facet of the game. So, as the year continues, that motto is going to stay the same. Every day we come to practice, we got to work hard. We got to find ways to get better. And we have to, in practice, but obviously then carry that over to games, value every possession as though it's the most important one of the game or the one that's going to lead to the outcome. So, the girls are doing a better job or continuing to improve, I think, in that area. So it'll be something that we'll really keep pressing on them, throughout the month of January and continue to play good basketball because right now we're playing pretty well, and I would expect us to continue to do that if we stay healthy.
All right, Coach, final question. Is all of your Christmas shopping completed at this point?
No. I was informed an hour ago, one of my daughters still needs one thing that my wife, we're trying to figure out if she's getting it tomorrow morning or I am. But otherwise, we're down to one, so that's pretty good. Feel good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And congratulations to Madison. She just, once again, having a great season on the college basketball court.
Yeah, she is doing great. She's had a great experience at Bowling Green. It's been fantastic for her. So hard to believe that one more run of the conference schedule there in the MAC, and she's done and on to real life and graduated and all that stuff. But it's exciting times.
And we keep trying to put a basketball in Ryan's hand every time he's in OPS. But my gosh, he's hooked on that golf stuff. So
yeah, that's right. He's golfing right now. In fact, so he's at it as we speak. So. He hangs out in the gym, and he likes to shoot. He just doesn't have the passion for the game the way that I do and the sisters do. So, but that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, buddy, have a great holiday. Give the best to the family, and appreciate you joining us.
Yep, you too. Enjoy it.
Take it easy, Coach.
Thanks.
That was Coach Rod Parker of the Homestead Spartans joining us here, talking about his team, 12-1, fresh off the double dip of wins coming up early this week. On Tuesday, wins over Fishers and Hamilton Southeastern. That Hamilton Southeastern game, definitely impressive. The Royals gave the Spartans everything they could. They led by as many as 5 late in the closing minutes, but Homestead was able to string some defensive stops together, make some free throws, get a 58-56 win over the Royals. Homestead's lone loss of the season came to Noblesville in late November. And the Millers very, very good at 12-3. They were able to take down Homestead by 20 in that game. But the Spartans have come a long way, and I feel like that complementary play from the girls around Ayanna Patterson is really going to dictate just how good that team can be down the stretch and into the playoffs. Ayanna's going to do her thing. But if they can continue to get great contributions from Molly Stock running that offense, Allie Stevens, Maggie Kinsley, the rest of that crew, that is what's going to elevate Homestead to a true state contender in Class 4A. So we'll see how the Spartans continue to roll through as they have a break here on the schedule, get back in action January 4th at Indianapolis North Central for a 7 o'clock game on a Tuesday night. We're going to take a break, come back. We'll wrap up this Festivus Day edition of the High School Coaches Show. When we come back, you're listening to 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
I think it's just vapor.
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
The future depends on teachers who are reinventing the classroom and starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back for the final time here on the High School Coaches Show. I am Justin Penning here for just a few more minutes. We'll give way to Pacers basketball. It'd be Pacers Rockets joined in progress at the top of the hour. Following that game, it will be Thursday night football from Nashville as the 49ers travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans in a game with quite serious playoff implications for both, and maybe a little bit in terms of the Colts. And if they can make a run in the AFC South, effectively 2 games behind Tennessee in the standings after 2 losses to the Titans. So all of that coming up here in just a few minutes and throughout the evening here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Before I give way to the NBA basketball, I wanted to talk SAC boys basketball really quick, and we got into it a little bit with Coach Jeremy Rauch of the Snider Panthers earlier in the show. And his team only playing 3 games, but has won both of its non-conference games. Of course, the lone loss coming to Northside. And that's been not an easy thing for SAC teams here so far through the first, month of the season. The SAC sits 18-32 overall in non-conference games. That's a winning percentage of .360. So only 4 or 5 other conferences are worse in the entire state of Indiana. Pocket Conference, the Greater Indianapolis, the Greater South Shore, the Great Lakes, the Tri-Eastern, the Midwest, and the Southern Conference. So when you look at the SAC out of the league, a lot of people would say that this is a very weak league in comparison to others. Some would say even that the Northeast 8 Conference, top to bottom, is a better league than the SAC this year. And that's, an interesting debate to have. I think SAC, between the SAC and the NE8, Homestead would be the number 1 team. But you look at the Northeast 8 and you go Columbia City and Leo and Norwell there at the top. And then even you look at the bottom right now, which is all 500 teams basically. Look at East Noble, DeKalb, Belmont. I mean, DeKalb has a win over Northside. Lost to Dwenger, lost to Northrop, but has a win over Northside. So when you look at the SAC and we talk about not just who can compete in this league, but who could be a threat in the playoffs, you're looking at a Homestead squad, 7-3. That is 2-0 in the league, yes, but has lost now to Chesterton and Fishers this month and has Cathedral on the 30th. And you look at Fletcher Lawyer, who's going to do his thing, but does Homestead have the consistent secondary scoring to complement Fletcher Lawyer night in and night out? Talked before the break to Coach Rod Parker, the Homestead Spartans, on the girls' side of things. And he talked about how Ayanna Patterson has been lifted by the fact that Allie Stevens has stepped up and Molly Stock has stepped up. Maggie Kinsley has stepped up. And it's while Ayanna Patterson's doing her thing, she has the supporting cast. Meanwhile, at Homestead, I think there's been times this year where that supporting cast hasn't been there for Fletcher Lawyer. And that's going to have to be there if the Spartans are going to make a run in Class 4A. I feel they're the decided favorite at this point in the SAC. But when you break down the 4A, and how it looks right now, there's a lot of dangerous teams in there, and Homestead's lost to two of them. One of them's Chesterton, and one of them's Fishers. And so Homestead will play Cathedral, another very good team, in a couple days on December 30th in a tournament. It's the Hall of Fame tournament, of course, down in Newcastle. Homestead and Cathedral, and then Homestead, if they win, will play either Westfield or Connorsville. Same if they lose, play the loser. So overall, Homestead's that standard in the SAC this year, but you have a lot of teams that struggle out of the conference. Southside, Concordia, Wayne, Northside, Dwenger, Lures, Carroll, all of them struggling outside the league. And so in terms of the SAC and where it's stacking up this year, to me, if we're comparing it to outside the area teams, it's Homestead and everybody else. I don't see any other team in the SAC right now that can go into a regional Saturday and win 2 games and win a regional championship. Maybe that changes over the next month, 2 months. But right now, man, it is a rough league for sure. You look at the NECC, you have Central Noble ranked number 1. You have Eastside undefeated. You have Westview was getting some pub and respect. So the SAC, in terms of the rankings in the state, only Homestead anywhere in the rankings for the SAC representation. So really, really interesting in terms of just where the conference goes at this point and if it improves, because right now I think it's looking like a, it's a team that's struggling, or a league that's struggling in terms of the rest of the state. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you for listening here on the Festivus night edition of the High School Coaches Show. Thanks to Brice Vance, ABC Media Group, joining us. Thank you to Jeremy Rauch, head boys basketball coach of the Snider Panthers, as well as Coach Rod Parker, head girls basketball coach with the Homestead Spartans. That's going to do it for us this evening. We'll be back next Thursday, potentially, to talk some area high school basketball and more. Coming up in just a few minutes, it'll be Pacers, Rockets, NBA basketball after the break. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Everybody, enjoy your Christmas holiday. Be safe and have fun with family. For Justin Kenny, I am the host of the High School Coaches Show here on 1380 The Fan. May your days be merry and bright.
Thanks for listening to this exclusive presentation of 1380 The Fan, the high school coaches show with Justin Kenny on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Download the podcast at 1380thefan.com or wherever you get podcasts. Broadcasting live from the Masters Heating and Cooling Studios, this is WKJG 1380 AM, 100.9 FM, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fan. This is Indiana Pacers basketball on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
NBA tonight, one game postponed. It was supposed to be in Portland where the Trailblazers were hosting the Brooklyn Nets. That one will not be played. due to the COVID health and safety protocol cancellation. Shortly after 7 o'clock, you'll hear Pacers and Rockets right here across the radio network. Orlando hosts New Orleans this evening. Philadelphia plays host to Atlanta. Those are the 7 o'clock games. And at 7:30 from Miami, it's the Heat hosting the Pistons. The Knicks are at home against the Wizards at 7:30. At 8:30 is Milwaukee at Dallas. At 9, Charlotte takes on Denver from Colorado. From Arizona, it's the Phoenix Suns hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. At 9, Minnesota at Utah. At 10, Memphis at Golden State. And at 10:30, the finale this evening from Los Angeles, the Lakers host the Spurs. It's the Pacers and the Rockets. From Indianapolis tonight, Mark Boyle and Eddie Gill are next on the Indiana Pacers Radio Network.
1380 AM, 100.9 FM. The Fan.
Podcasts by Federated Media.